Hi, this is Brian with Prophetless Media and Post. A common task in VFX is to remove logos from objects. So today we're going to take a look at one way of removing the logo from the back of a computer. This shot isn't super difficult, but to make it look good, we're going to have to do a little bit more than a quick patch. If you want to follow along, I'll put a link down below where you can download the clip. So let's take a look at this clip. So we have this computer screen. We're going to need to remove the logo. And there's a few changes in the color of the screen. Not only that, but if we look here, you can see that it's much brighter here and darker here. So removing the logo is it's not going to be super difficult, but it does have a couple challenges. So let's take a look at how we can approach this inside Fusion. Okay, so here we are in Fusion. A pretty common way is to stabilize what we want to remove, paint it out, and then put it back over the original. And so that's the approach we're going to take. So let's add in a Planar Tracker. Don't want it there. And let's add it right here. And we'll take a look through. And let's go to the beginning of the sequence. We'll go frame 0, and we're just going to put a shape around our logo. Something like that. Over in the Planar Tracker, our reference frame is already set. Set it to frame 0. And we'll leave everything at default and we'll start tracking. We're starting to see a problem, and no, that went off. So that's not going to work. Let's go back. And we're going to have to change a couple settings to make this work. So in the tracker, let's switch this over to hybrid point. Under motion type, I'm going to go down to affine. TRS plus shear is translation, rotation, scaling plus a shear, which is very similar to the perspective, but a little bit different. So we're going to try that out. Now let's start tracking that. Okay, that's looking a lot better. So I think this one's going to work. So that's done, and that looks really good. I think we got a nice solid track here. That looks good. So let's go back to the very beginning, and we're going to use this as our reference time. The next thing we need to do is stabilize our image. So we'll just go into operation mode and click on steady. And if we're looking through our Planar Tracker, we should have a nice steady image focused on that apple. Okay, great. So the next step would be to paint that out. So I'm going to move this over a little bit. Let's add a paint afterwards, make sure it's connected to the Planar Tracker, and we'll bring that up. And we're going to use the stroke tool, and over in the apply mode, turn it on clone. And let's zoom in here and take a look. So we have sort of a gradient pattern going across. So I'm going to try my best to just kind of eat away at the edges by using the image around the apple, and see, hopefully that will do the trick. That looks pretty good. You can see a little bit up here. Okay, so let's see how that looks. That doesn't look too bad. I can still see sort of a little bit of a brightness right there, but overall not too bad. So before I go any further, let's set up the rest of the comp so we can start looking at the finished product. To set up our complete comp, what we're going to want to do is, after we do our paint, we're going to reintroduce the animation. So let's copy the Planar Tracker and then paste it. And we'll drag our paint into here. And in this Planar Tracker, it's already set to steady. We want to turn on inverse steady transform. And what that'll do is bring back the animation so that it'll match the original plate. But as you can tell, we have the whole image and we only want this little patch. So we're going to need to cut that out. One way of doing that is to add a matte control, and then we'll add a polygon into the foreground. And let's look through the stabilized version of the plate so that when we draw our shape, and it won't matter what frame we're on, because you can see that the apple is stabilized. So I'm going to do it right here on this frame. And we'll just draw a shape. Doesn't have to be too crazy. And that'll do that. And let's look through the mat. Okay, so now we got that out, but we still haven't gotten it all cut out. So we have to go into the mat control. And what we need to do is under combine, we need to bring this polygon alpha in. So come down, combine alpha. And you can see that it's not multiplied yet. So we have to come down to post multiply image. Turn that on. And then now we have our little patch. Then once we go to the planar tracker, you can see that it's tracking in. And let's merge that over our original. And there's our patch. Now you can tell right away, we haven't done any adjustments yet. But this is the basics of our final comp. We have this hard edge. So we can start messing around with a polygon. And if we soften the edge a little bit, you can see that's helping. The more we soften this, you can see that the apple's coming back. So what we can do is, as we soften the edge, we can bring the border out. And so we're getting a nice little patch. It looks pretty good. Not too bad, but I can tell that it's there. You can see like sort of a little bit darker. Now, I suppose you can go in there and color correct it and stuff like that if you wanted to, but let's take a look at a method that might help this out. So one thing you can do, one way, is to add a blur right afterward. And that will merge these colors together, kind of smudge them if you will. So let's take a look. And in that blur, let's just start to blur that. Okay, we might need a little bit more room as we blur it. Okay. Okay, that's blending really nice. And that may not be good enough, but if we look really close, come in, you can see because we used the blur, we don't have, well, this is really artifacty image. We don't have the artifacts in here. Now, if we wanted to make this look better, what we could do is, let's make a little bit of room. We could add in OFX plugin, the Jpeg Damage, and add that in to try to correct that. So it would maybe match the pixelization that's going on around the patch. And normally you would go for grain, but there's so much, you might even have to do that too. But, you look around the edge here, look at if we just press play, you can see all the pixelated screen. So to match this, let's try adding in. I don't want to bring this straight in. I want to be able to blend it. So I'm going to offshoot from the planar tracker, and then I'm going to merge back over. So we have this. So I have my planar tracker. I have the damage over here, and I'm going to merge it back over the top of the original. And we're going to look through there. Let's jump up the quality and see if we can start to get this to blend in better with the pixels around the side. So that's about the kind of shape. Now, that's going way bigger than what we wanted. So now that we added this in, we're going to have to probably adjust the blur and the polygon to reel it back in. Here, if we look at this, if I turn off, you can see the difference. It's way out here. We don't want that. So let's head over to the polygon. I'm going to get rid of the soft edge altogether, and then I'm going to bring this back down. Okay, somewhere like that. And the blur can probably come down a little bit. And then let's bring the blend and the merge down a little bit. So you're basically going to be going through a combination of these, the polygon edge, blur, the merge, and the JPEG damage. And between these four, we should get a decent comp. So we need to bring this down a little bit. I think we needed to match somewhere down in there. Okay, that's looking pretty good. Now let's just step through and see how it looks. Okay, that's looking really good. And we can double check this by using the AB. And take the original, put it in here, and then we can kind of just check it. Okay, I think that's looking pretty good. If you want, we can take a look at the final render. So let's see how it looks in motion. That looks really good. Can't even tell it was there. So I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I'll see you again in the next one.